Meanwhile, at the Trojan Horsepower Garage.
Welcome back to Trojan Horsepower Garage on the COVID-19 closure. We're going to try this again, do some remote learning. Today, we are going to learn how to change the differential gear oil on the Chrysler 300. We're going to be using Royal Purple 75-140. The original oil is 75-90, but because of increased horsepower, we have to up the weight according to Chrysler. Who here in the class knows why we have to change our differential fluid? Anybody? You, over there.
Oh,
Mr. Conkle.
because the differential fluid breaks down and it loses its lubrosity.
Ah, wrong. Is viscosity your word you're looking for?
Ooh, viscosity. Sounds interesting.
So, before we get started, we need to take our Plaza North toolbox kit, and we need our Allen and our oil. This takes 2 quarts for this job. We also need a place to drain it, our fancy drain bucket here. Contain it. So we're going to push that over here underneath the differential. Before we get started, we want to locate our drain plug, which is here on the lower end of the case, and our fill plug, which is on the other side up here. Okay? Now we're ready to push our drain bucket underneath the differential and start draining it.
Mr. Benson, what size is that?
We are using a 14 millimeter Allen and a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. And sometimes they're on there pretty good. Take a couple shots. Anticipate that it's going to drain very slow because it's cold. Okay. Take the rest out by hand slowly. And a lot of times there's a magnet on the bottom of the plug to get any filings that are in the fluid. And this actually fluid doesn't look too bad. It's probably been serviced. It is going to take a while to drain there because it's very thick. Again, it's 75-90 in there right now. Very thick oil. All right, so why do we need a thick fluid? Well, we need a thick fluid because these gears have mesh and a lot of heat's generated here. So the fluid has to be very thick because it's going to get stirred up, aerated, etc. So these gears are actually out of an Indy car from Andretti, believe it or not. That's why they're very highly polished. Most gear sets aren't polished like this and will create a lot more friction and heat. So that's one of the reasons we need to change our fluid, because we don't want wear on our gear set. Another thing we want to do is wipe our drain plug off good, especially if it has a magnet. Sometimes you got to really work the particles off. This one doesn't seem to have a magnet. It's probably built into the case housing somewhere on this particular car. Okay, so you never know. They're all different. So until you get used to them, this is what you may or may not find. Okay? All right, so while our transmission is draining, we're going to go ahead and open up our fill plug. Okay, fill plug is out, and we're going to clean it. It's always good. Doesn't take much effort to do so. Okay, all right, before we get started, we have to take the seal off our oil. And put our cap back on. And we're going to take our cutters and cut just a little bit off right there. And we're going to attach a tube to it because this one's in a difficult spot. Alrighty, so we need, our fluid is drip drying. We're going to start our plug by hand. Take our 14 millimeter Allen. And we're going to snug that up. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. We don't have to add any goop if we don't want to on it. They'll seal up just fine as a tapered plug. Okay, so now we're sealed and we can go ahead and fill. All right, so we're ready to fill up our fluid, our differential back up. They'll put the tube inside of the fill hole, take our bottle, put her over our pan, and we're going to squeeze, and our purple, Petaluma purple fluid will start flowing. This might just take a while since we're using such a small tube. So we know when it's full, when it starts dripping out the fill hole, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing and put our plug back in. Okay, we're tight there. And one final thing we need to do is clean up some of the residual oil with some brake clean or parts clean. So just spray that on there. You can wipe it down, of course, too, with a rag. And we'll do that to both sides. And that'll just dry. All right, so we're done with filling our differential with our 75W140 Royal Purple, and this should be good for at least roughly 40,000 miles before the next change, depending on the manufacturer's intervals. All right, so I hope you learned something today. Stay safe, and we'll see you back at the shop.
What fluids are we using for this fire-breathing Chrysler 300?
Purple.
Purple. Anything that's purple. Purple coolant, purple gear oil, Conklin, automatic fluid conditioner. Oh yeah, some more coolant. We clean it up with purple. That's it. It's the only reason why we chose those for this fire-breathing 425 horsepower SRT8 conversion.